Welcome to Between Two Pastries, a not-so-typical nutrition podcast. Nicole and Annie are licensed and registered dietitians. Join them as they discuss hot nutrition topics, challenge popular beliefs, and have a blast doing it. Here are your hosts, Nicole and Annie.
All right, welcome to Between Two Pastries. This is Nicole.
Hey everyone, it's Annie.
Today we are interviewing Deb Lesko. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. I love saying last names right. That's so great. And we are so excited to have you, Deb. Deb is the founder of Doesnt. And Annie has a good bio for you.
Yeah, I do. Because I found Deb obviously from her Diets Don't Work page.
Yeah, so we love it.
About her. Deb is 65 years old. She's a grandma, which is really cool. And her passion is to educate people of all ages, sizes, races, sexual orientations, of the dangers of diet culture and the societal ideals, just to keep everyone thin. I mean, that's society's goals. Mm-hmm. So she fights that and fights the mainstream ideals within her page, Diets Don't Work.
Right.
On Facebook and on Instagram. You can find them both there. She has about 65,000 followers who look forward to her posts. I know I do. I love
awesome.
them. I'm a dietitian and I know all these things. And then I see those posts and I'm like, yes, that's it.
I know.
Right. She's been on podcasts, she's taught at seminars, as well as writes articles for magazines and has her own blog on her webpage, which is pretty cool. She's a survivor of anorexia and drug addiction and has life experience to share those ideas with the world. Mm-hmm. Her recovery from drugs and anorexia has been her driving force to share her recovery with others. It's so powerful. I love it. Yep. And welcome, Debbie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I look forward to this.
Oh, it's great. We're really happy to have you. So I know we have three pretty big topics that you personally really wanted to make sure that we were covering. So we're just going to dive right into that. And the first topic we were going to talk about is the dangers of dieting in general.
Yeah. What are they? What do you have to say about that, Debbie?
There are physical, psychological, mental, spiritual dangers of going on a diet. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest dangers is that it slows down your metabolic system. It mm-hmm. starts destroying your heart and your kidneys, your liver, your muscles, and then the brain fog that comes in and memory lapse mm-hmm. From dieting. And people think, okay, I'm not going to do Weight Watchers, or I'm not going to do Jenny Craig or any of those other mainstream diets. But this applies to anybody going on an intentional weight loss journey where they start restricting calories for weight control. Intermittent fasting, keto, what are some of the Whole30, a lot of the Beachbody products, they all say, you do this and do that, and you're going to lose weight. Well, you may at first, but you are doing more damage to your body than getting anywhere with a weight loss program. The weight will not stay off. There is a 95 to 98% failure rate for any kind of caloric restriction on your body. You would not take a drug that had a 98% fail rate. Doctors are prescribing it every single day, and they expect people to lose weight, but keep it off, but cannot give them any solution to losing weight and keeping it off. It doesn't exist, for one. Two, the dangers to your body, just putting you down into a slower metabolic rate. You are, with every calorie that you reduce, your metabolism gets smaller and lower. Mm-hmm. And eventually, how people talk about they get the plateau. Well, yes, because the metabolism has slowed down sufficiently to match what you're eating. And the body is going to do its best to protect you from starvation. A big experiment done in the 1940s during World War II called the Minnesota Starvation Experiment. Yep. And they fed, I forget the number, 64 men 3,400 calories for a period of weeks, and then they cut them down to 1,600. The signs they saw on these men at 1,600 calories were this food obsession. They were reading cookbooks. They were stealing food from wherever they could get it. They were following, they could not get away from the food obsession. They totally depleted their bodies. The kidneys went bad. They had psychological consequences that were they were lifelong too. I mean, they could not get it back. And as soon, some of them never were able to eat a normal diet again, because their weight ballooned after living on 1,600 calories for a period of time. It never lasted, but the damage they had done to their bodies in that time period of eating only 1,600 calories already was done. Some of them had kidney failure. Some of them had heart failure, heart disease, high blood pressure. A lot of the things that we currently attribute to higher weight individuals are result of this yo-yo dieting that we do. Up and down, up and down, up and down.
Right.
And most of the time that's doing more damage to your body than staying at the higher weight.
Yep.
And it's just really, it's a sad state of affairs that we've got, that diet culture is so prominent and wanting everybody to look the same.
No, positively. Yeah. I mean, Annie and I speak on that all the time, for sure.
All the time. And I love that you totally dropped a Minnesota study reference.
Yeah.
That is my favorite teaching tool for those with full-blown eating disorders.
Right.
Because their mind is just blown when we go through it line by line by line.
Right.
And you talk about, that study and dropping down to 1,600 calories. I'm fairly certain that MyFitnessPal's caloric amount for every single person on the planet, pretty sure if I pulled it up for myself right now, that's what it would tell me.
Exactly. Most of the recommendations are 1,200 calories or lower.
Right.
It's so awful.
The nutritional requirement for a 2-year-old is 1,200 calories.
Right.
And so right there should tell you, and I've had people argue with me, well, a 2-year-old's still growing. Yes, but that has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Right.
I mean, and that doesn't matter. Calories are not about growth.
No.
Calories, that's not a calories purpose. They help with growth.
Sure.
But that's not the overall purpose to putting calories in our body. And it's so, you talk about the greatest danger of all potentially is calorie restriction. I mean, there's so many to choose from, but just how many people restrict like that? They just do it. And almost like blindly, oh, well, that's what the app says, or that's what a doctor says, or that's what my friend is doing. And they just simply do it. And I've not seen a soul actually succeed from dieting, period.
No, neither have I. I mean, people argue with me on the page saying, well, I did it and I've kept it off for 2 years. Okay, but the studies say that after 5 years, you will
Right.
I think
if you have lost anything, it will be 1% of your body weight. Well, 1% of my body weight isn't that much.
Right.
If I'm restricting my calories by 1,000 calories a day.
Right. The other thing I just wanted to mention about the whole concept of MyFitnessPal too, and Annie and I have talked about this recently actually on our own, but I noticed that they are also touting within their app how to intermittently fast.
Oh.
And I was so disgusted. In that, I don't know when that started, but I went on there because I was looking at something for someone and that popped up and I went, it was so shockingly upsetting. It was just upsetting.
I cannot believe they're doing that now, because that is one of the worst trends that are out there right now. I mean, I was at a meeting last night and they know of my history of the anorexia and how triggering diet talk can be for me. And I've asked them not to speak about it
Good.
And one woman said to the other, well, we can't eat after 6 p.m., right? And I looked at her,
my
what are
gosh.
you guys doing? And she says, oh, we're doing the intermittent fasting. And I went, do you know how dangerous that is? And she says, well, we're still eating. It's not like we're not eating. We're just not eating after 6 and before 8. And I did. I literally said, I gave them the dangers. I told them the reasons why it was bad. And they still didn't believe me because they kept saying, well, we still eat. And one of the other women said, but I don't have hunger cues. And I said, how many diets have you been on? She said, oh, too many to count.
Exactly.
Right there. What does that tell you?
Right.
And, obviously, if I can't get out of that talking or being around that talk, I know my stuff. I know what they're talking about, but it's still a little bit triggering to me because as an anorexia survivor, I go, well, look at them. They're so much smaller. Why can't, if they do it, then why can't I do it? I want to be able to do that too. But I also know that my next diet could probably be the death of me.
Sure.
I wouldn't survive it.
Well, and just a note to listeners, when someone talks about being an anorectic survivor or bulimia,
right.
What it is the disease never actually leaves your body.
Correct.
20 quotes. You still have thoughts and feelings and triggers, but it's how you react to them now. So instead of restricting your intake to 500 calories a day, you just simply know this is the way of eating that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. And I am following my meal plan or whatever it might be, by my dietitian or whoever eating disorder specialist that I worked with. And that's what I'm doing. And we can self-talk through all of that versus using those maladaptive coping skills. So when we talk about, it's different than, for example, alcohol addiction, where you simply, you never have done alcohol again. When we talk about eating disorder recovery, those thoughts are still there. The urges might be there, but our skills are very different.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
After coming out of both drugs and anorexia, I don't want to say the drug addiction was easy to come out of, because it wasn't, but it was easier than coming out of anorexia. I mean, because you have to.
Well, you have to eat. Yeah,
exactly.
Of course.
Exactly.
And the thing is that, eating is, well, not only just a, normal everyday thing for everybody, but it's also a very social thing. And, so that's also going to be another layer of things, when you're with your family, or when you're with your friends, or when you have to travel outside of a comfort zone, or, all those things, things.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely.
Calorie counts are on absolutely everything. Everywhere, and that used to be a big trigger for me, walking into a restaurant and seeing the calories on the menu or on the board up front and go, well, no, I can't eat that. That's too many calories for one meal. No way.
People's choices.
Right.
And they lose their innate ability to make a decision based on what they feel in their heart.
Right.
Now we're making it based in our brain because of trends or, things that we've heard or learned and that have developed our thinking about, in this case, food. And that's so sad. We're not making heart decisions, and those decisions of, oh, I'm so hungry and it's a hot day and I just feel like a popsicle. Well, that's got 500 calories. So I'm just going to have, things like that. We're thinking too much about it versus just, being a kid again and eating like how toddlers eat. And that's, that's the sad part, is people have really lost themselves. And again, we talk about the dangers of dieting, but even like, you look at like a subgroup of dieting being like diet foods, like Nicole and I have talked recently about doing a pods about, cauliflower crust and flowers and, things that are like alternative recipes or foods. And it's just like the madness with all of that. I don't think people think they're dieting by doing that.
Right.
But I think that there's true dangers associated to taking pizza that's with normal crust, cheese, and pepperoni and turning that into some wackadoodle cauliflower, tomato pasty, fake cheese thing. It's not the same. I think different emotions come out.
Well, it does. It does. And then there's this whole judgment that's placed on it. I mean, it's one thing when you're like, gosh, how can I get more creative in getting more vegetables into my day because it's important to me? That's a different look. That's a different mindset.
You're so right, because how many people, they go out, they grab a diet soda and a bowl of ice cream. Well, why didn't you just grab the regular soda? And they don't think about, the fact that it's still energy, and it's still, it's just energy. It's just calories, and they can't hurt you. And
nothing will hurt you.
Yes.
Your behaviors will hurt you.
Yeah, always.
Around food. But the food itself will not hurt you.
No, it can't. It's impossible.
Right.
So getting into your next point too are, the alternatives. What are the alternatives to dieting?
The alternative, the one alternative that I support is intuitive eating.
Absolutely.
And there is a fabulous book by Evelyn Triboli and Elise Reich. And there is a 4th edition, which is even better than any of the first 3.
Right.
And it is, I don't want to say it's a diet, because it isn't. It's a matter of listening to your body and feeling and hearing your hunger cues, your fullness cues, getting rid of the diet mentality that there is good food and there is bad food. You don't want to even go there. Food has no moral value. You need to get rid of the food police saying that you can only have a piece of cake if you've exercised for an hour. It's intuitive eating, and it is a matter of listening to your hunger cues, eating when you're hungry, eating what you want when you want it, and then paying attention to the fullness cues. You're going to have to get in touch with, when you get a little bit full, maybe a lot full, or, you're satisfied. And when you're satisfied, maybe you should stop. And I know for me, living with a diet since I was 8 years old, and always paying attention to calories and how much I ate, I did not have any hunger cues when I came into recovery this time. I don't think I've had hunger cues, and I couldn't tell you how long, but coming out of recovery this last time in 2017, I had no hunger cues. How am I supposed to know when I'm supposed to eat, what I'm supposed to eat? There was nothing. So I had to follow a meal plan. I had to follow what the dietitian said. And now, 4 years later, I can listen to my body. I know when I'm hungry, and I know when I'm full. And there are times, my roommate and I made dinner the other night, and we both went, boy, that was really good. Boy, that was really good. Oh, I'm going to go get more. No, I better not go get more. But we both said, yes, we're going to go get more. It was so good that it didn't matter whether I was already full. I ate because I enjoyed it. And for me, that's a really big deal, because I was told I shouldn't like anything for so many years. If I liked it, then I might eat too much of it. And if I eat too much of it, I'm going to get fat. And,
well, sure. The whole fear thing,
Fear. Yeah, but I will say, you make me feel, at least today, happy to be a dietitian. Nicole and I talk about this often, how upset we are with, we put out pods, or we do a ton of education.
Right.
We both have our own practices, and I work in behavioral healthcare, and we, you send all these messages out, and it's like throwing darts at a wall, and none of them ever. And it's like, how are so many people not getting to this, to the point where it's like, I don't even want to be a dietitian. This is so hard. It's so nice to hear that someone has, and of course, we both have clients that have succeeded from, diet mentality, and have come out of that, whether it be from the depths of an eating disorder, or just simply lack of knowledge and their diet. So we certainly have success stories, but just to hear you talk about intuitive eating and the dangers and all of this, it's like, okay, today I feel good to be a dietitian.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're out there and there are dietitians like you out there.
Yeah.
Because
No,
not
totally.
all dietitians follow that
No.
protocol.
Of course.
And,
Right. They don't.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you talk about throwing darts. This was the 6th treatment center that I was in when I was in 2017. It was the 6th one.
Wow.
So I'm sure that the 5 other dietitians I worked with felt like they were throwing darts at me, like, hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. And, but it wasn't until this last one that somehow, well, I have grandchildren now. So, I mean, it's like, I didn't respond to anything. It's like, no, I was so fearful of being fat that I wouldn't allow what I was hearing to settle.
Right.
I would discharge from the center and I would go home and I'd start all back over again. No, I've got to lose the weight that they put on me. And I would. And then I'd be back in treatment or,
that fear is so strong.
Right.
It just fogs every lens that we have to seeing things as they are. And it's so sad. I mean, I know, obviously, Nicole, you and I see this stuff on a regular basis, but Debbie, when you were in treatment, in this last one that you had, were you at the point of hitting recovery and now you're watching other people still struggling and you're like, stop it?
Yeah, it's true.
No, not really. When I was in treatment this last time, I came out of treatment and started working with a dietitian, and she handed me Health at Every Size. And I read the first chapter and I looked at her and I said, I can't read that. I can't read that. That's too triggering for me. You're telling me that I'm never going to be allowed to be thin. You're telling me I have to accept this weight gain and be fat, for the rest of my life. I can't read that book. Well, now it's my go-to book.
Of course.
I use a lot. And I had to overcome my own internal fat phobia before I even could get to recovery.
Exactly.
We got to say that again.
Yeah.
You have to get over your own internal fat phobia.
That's right.
Before I could get to recovery.
Live. Yes, exactly. Now you talk about Health at Every Size. So basically what Health at Every Size is talking about how literally you can be healthy, the true meaning of the word health, at any size body. You can be in a big body, a smaller body.
Right. But health doesn't have a weight. Yeah.
Exactly. I want to rephrase that a little bit because it's not at any size. It's at every size.
Yeah.
There's a difference between the two words.
Good
because, people come at me and saying, okay, you're telling me that 600, 800 pound person is healthy. I'm saying, no, I'm saying it is available to them and they can be healthy.
That's right.
And it doesn't mean we should disrespect them because they are that weight. They still deserve the respect from everybody else as opposed to all of this negative talk and 100%. They're lazy and they're, no, it has nothing to do with that.
Sure.
I know quite a few large people who, I know a girl just recently, I found out she weighs 320 some pounds and she just climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh, that's so cool.
Come on. If society would look at her and say, you're just eating Big Macs and French fries all day long. No, actually she isn't,
Right.
She is very healthy. She's healthier than I am, And so, it health at every size, not necessarily at any size.
Right.
I love that. No, I love that language. And I want to second what you were saying about the gal who went and climbed Kilimanjaro. I had a client this week who had, a doctor's appointment and, her doctor claimed that, well, you'll be able to get pregnant if you lose a little weight. I've never in my life, ever as a practitioner, read evidence that weight impacts pregnancy or ability to be pregnant. My mind was just like, I was so angry. I was like, this poor girl. And literally she eats so well. She moves 4 days a week. She does movement she loves. And now you're going to tell her that her body's not okay. And you're going to put, you're putting that fear on her.
Right.
Oh,
It's
I was
sad.
so upset about it. And
it's really a sad state because I'm going through that with my page today. Did you know that today is National Obesity Day? And that word is just,
I hate that word
to me, but it's National Obesity Day. And I said something about it on my page today. And people are going, yeah, but I have to lose weight. They won't do joint replacement on me.
Right.
I don't. And they will immediately say, you're fine to get lap band surgery or gastric bypass.
Right.
They won't do a joint replacement until she loses weight. And the arguments that I've got going right now on the page are, but no, it's dangerous to operate on a larger person because their heart will give out. No, it's no more dangerous to operate on them for a joint replacement as it is for them to operate on them to do the gastric bypass and
they're always gastric bypass. I hate that.
Right. I know.
I don't get that. And it's so sad that other practitioners, outside of body focused or body positive dietitians and a small community of practitioners, that majority of them don't understand health at every size, that you can be in a bigger body and have surgery and have babies and eat what you want and move how you want and still be, quote unquote, healthy, which to, I think our society means we don't have heart problems. We, I don't even understand how our society, I mean, health is obviously viewed as thinness, but what is actual health? It's,
and that's the thing. I mean, if you're questioning it, which most people are, everybody has their own definition of it. And that's the whole thing.
It's the problem.
It's very subjective. And
extremely.
And he is healthy could be two totally different things. Not likely, but, with the three of us, but, it still is very subjective. And you can't tell me that somebody is not healthy just by the way they look.
Right.
You have no clue.
Right.
You don't know what they're eating. You don't know what they're doing, what their movement is like. And going back to intuitive eating also includes the intuitive movement and joyful movement, and not exercising because it makes your body hurt and you got to burn off your calories. It's joyful movement, going out, doing a dance. I love with my grandchildren, I watch them every day during the day, and we turn on the music and we just dance around the house. I've got a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old, and we just dance all around the house. And they just think that is the greatest thing, that they've got a grandma who can do that with them. You're so fun, Grandma. Well, and I love that because 4 years ago, I could not have done that.
Sure.
And I may be, again, overweight according to society standards, but I can do a whole lot more than I ever have in my life.
Yeah. So cool.
100%.
And so, it's nobody knows the food that I take in, what I eat. You cannot judge me based on my size. It's not possible. And that's the basis of health at every size, and making sure that health people have accessibility. Think theater seats and plane seats. Why should they have to pay double to get a seat that fits them?
Right.
It's more a social justice movement than it is even a health movement. It's making these things available to people of all sizes, and every ethnicity and sexual orientation and whatever. It needs to be diverse and
agreed.
Yeah.
What do you hear most from trolls about health at every size?
Well, they again come back at me with, there's no way that person is healthy. You can't tell me that a 600-pound person is healthy. And I'm like, I'm not saying that 600-pound person is healthy. I'm saying they can be healthy.
Right.
And it isn't about whether or not you look at somebody and say they're healthy or not. You've got to take the lens off of seeing somebody and judging their health because of what you see. What you're seeing is through a fat phobic lens. I'm sorry, but and they fight with me tooth and nail to argue that how larger people have heart problems and diabetes and high cholesterol, and I'm going to eat for my health, and all they do is eat junk food. And again, there's no junk food. As far that is a bad word. There is no junk food.
But lots of assumptions and lots of judgments when they have no idea. They have no idea what their reality is.
No. And like I told you guys, I've had death threats. People have come at me because they tell me I am killing people by promoting obesity.
Oh my God.
And I have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't have the medical degree. You're right. I don't. But I guarantee you that I have done the research and I have a lived experience. And when I determined this was going to be my passion and I was going to try and prevent others from going down the same road I did, I have done the research. I have all of the PubMed documentation for various things, and I can share it with people if they want it. They can't argue with me. I can hold my own with them.
Right.
Yes, it scares me a little bit when they start threatening my life.
Of
but,
course.
And all you can do is block them and hide them. But it's ridiculous the number of people that come at me.
What's the word? How delusional does someone have to be to threaten someone's life who's claiming body positivity and health can be possible for all at any size? What is that? That should tell people a lot.
Yes, right. It should. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't, and people don't see it as that they're wrong. They're determined to make me believe they are right.
Right.
But when you ask for documentation, they cannot provide it. They don't have it.
Well, of course they don't. Right.
Yeah,
it's not there. It's not there.
Right.
That's the whole premise of all of this is that diet culture is a man-made thing. It is a created thing based on fear. And it's so frustrating to me.
Yeah. And the diet culture world even started way back in the 1800s and with Black women and them being slaves and not having access to decent food, and the fat phobia started as a racist movement against Black people, against the Black slaves, and it has progressed, and it is still more Black centric than even white centric, because they still and don't get me started on the social issue of it. I mean, people don't have access to organic food, and they use the box mixes. I use box mixes. There's nothing wrong with box mixes.
Me too.
But they don't have the money to spend on this high quality food and prepare meals every night for food for their families. They don't have the access to do that. And so that becomes a social justice issue as well, the availability. And then you've got doctors who are fat phobic. And so people who are larger or overweight in society's world don't get the care they're supposed to get. So it looks like the larger people have more heart attack, more high blood pressure, more diabetes and all that, because these people are afraid to go to the doctor, because you walk in the door of a doctor's office and you've got a sore throat and they're going to say, you got to lose 50 pounds. They don't pay attention to the real issue, and people don't go to the doctor. And so somebody could have cancer and get diagnosed for a long time because they were afraid to go.
Right. And, I can back that up 100%. I have had so many clients, and it feels like that is one of their main anxieties of going to the physician. When they first come and see me, it's this whole thing of shame.
Yes.
It's this thing of, I'm going to be weighed. I'm so dreading this. Or it's massive anxiety, right? Or it's awful. It is awful. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is.
My heart
when
just
I
goes
was,
out to them.
Yeah.
You know,
pardon me?
my heart just goes out to, you should be able to go to the doctor and
Right.
not be judged.
Right. That's the whole idea.
I mean,
Yeah.
So just in closing, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with us at all, Deb?
Final thoughts. Oh,
Final take homes.
yeah. I just want people to know that they are valued no matter what size they are, and that if you are struggling, get help. I mean, if you think you have disordered eating habits, not even a full-blown eating disorder, talk to a dietitian, find an intuitive eating dietitian or health at every size dietitian and talk to them. And the other thing that I really want people to know is those with eating disorders, there's hope. I am 65 years old. I found recovery at 61. You don't have to live your life like this. It is possible to escape the bondage of the food and weight and society, and you can get freedom, and you don't have to live like that anymore. And that's probably my biggest thing that I want people to know. I mean, because my passion started out wanting to keep people from going down the eating disorder trail, but now it's more revolved around there's hope. I'm proof. I can tell you that I have recovered. Not that I don't have those thoughts, like we said earlier. Sure, I get the thoughts. They're still there, but I know how to deal with them now. So it's not hopeless, and you are worth it. And that's the big takeaway I want people to know, is that they are totally worth everything. They're worth everything and much more.
Right.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Debbie. I hope everybody heard that loud and clear. And we always like to end the pod too with something fun, like what is your favorite food?
My favorite food is Thai food.
Oh, cool. I was just thinking about that today. That's great.
I love green tofu curry.
Oh, cool.
It's just wonderful as far as I'm concerned. And the hotter, the better. You know?
Wow.
I was just going to ask you if you like your heat. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So,
Well, you guys who are listening can find Deb at our Facebook page, Diets Don't Work. I highly recommend following. What she posts is incredible. She shares quite a bit of knowledge from professionals that I always think to myself, gosh, I wish I would have come up with that. I wish I would have made that. So she's sharing incredible information that is nothing Deb has said is false as practitioners.
Right.
She knows what she's talking about, and I love that. You can also find her on Instagram. So do that, check her out, and give her a follow, because she knows all about what you all should be doing. That's for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that vote of confidence.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
It's been a pleasure.
Have questions you want to hear discussed on the show? Find us on Facebook or visit between2pastries.com and drop us a line. Want to support the show? Find us on Patreon for exclusive content. If you love the show, find us on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review.